elementary education crisis in America. And in the age of technology booming, a question is often arisen of whether should artificial intelligence, namely humanistic thinking machines, be implemented into public elementary schools. And what humanistic thinking machines are robots that can relay actions independently from an operator and can react to emotion.
According to the PIAAC, or the Program for the International Assessment of Adult Competencies, they tested adults from the ages 16 to 65 years old during the year 2012 to 2014 to test for literary competence, and to not have this would be considered not being able to perform well in society. The results are shown here, with around 21% of U.S. adults not achieving literary competence, estimating to around 43 million of them. This is 1/5 of the American workforce. 1/5 of the American workforce that our education system has failed. Furthermore, this kind of AI tutoring is being utilized in Hangzhou, China, where a student by the name of Zhou Yi, as shown on the top, is using the tutoring service of a company known as Squirrel AI in order to help boost his struggling math grades. According to him, this is the only tutoring service that has actually worked over several others that he's tried. And throughout using Squirrel AI, his test grades have jumped from 50% to 62.5% to 85%. Furthermore, various U.S. entities and companies have also tried and cooperated with AI tutoring in Squirrel AI. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has stated themselves that AI is an educational tool, and Squirrel and Carnegie Mellon University have created a collaboration joint research lab in order to further advance research for AI tutoring.
So, if other countries are getting good results, shouldn't our American elementary school systems integrate artificial intelligence into the classroom? Ideally, yes. And I know that a lot of parents are going to be nervous as far as the mental and physical safety of their children, and they may have some bad ideas of what AI is, but children actually seem to have more of a clear idea. These cartoon characters behind me are actually AI robots that can help children learn. If you look at the little guy in the bottom right corner, he comes in the color blue, his name is Tiga, and he's actually a tutor.
A scientific journalist, Maria Teeming, has saw firsthand what Tiga bestowed on a classroom. And what she found out is when children saw Tiga and viewed him as more of a game, they were more motivated to read, and thus they comprehended more of the information that they had just read when compared post-tests of the kids that read with him versus the kids that did not read with him. Beyond this, Professor Justine Castiel says that AI like Tiga can benefit people with disabilities and minority people. She says that people who are spoken to in their natural dialect tend to relay better divergent thinking skills than being spoken to in a foreign dialect to you. Beyond this, autistic children can formulate fuller, clearer thoughts when they tell stories and speak with AI regularly than when they speak with an actual teacher or student peer.
Affective social tracking, or AS tracking for short, is a type of AI testing that's geared less towards the academic educational side of schooling and more towards the social side of it. It's used in two of England's biggest institutions, being Repton and St. Paul, and asks students questions such as, what would your ideal safe space be? Communicates these to the teachers and helps them build a safer space while they're at school. In the current state of America, where social issues and mental health has become more and more of an issue, you would argue that our psychological aspect of the students is as important, if not more, than our educational one.
Another benefit of AI is personalized curriculums, which present students ways to manage their time. AI systems are being used to develop a custom learning profile of each student and custom training materials for everyone based on their ability, preferred mode of learning, and their own experience. Students benefit by taking control and ownership of their education. Additionally, these intelligent systems are also enhancing adaptive learning features so that each student can learn at their own pace and time frames, which in the end makes them more involved.
So, in order to bring these technologies to elementary schools, our group came up with the solution of slow integration, which allows for programmers to bring safer and more user-friendly AI to the students. Janelle Shane has brilliantly pointed out that AI does exactly what you tell it. So in order for us to bring these robots to the classroom safely, we should allow programmers to give them more detailed programming, and as well as programming less sophisticated robots, as children need less sophistication in order to learn or be in order to learn. It also allows us time to track AI's effects on childhood development, as children are very, very fragile at this age, and their mental development is something that is very, very important to us and the teachers as well. And it also allows time for parents to learn exactly what the new school systems will be doing, so they can keep up with what is happening with their children.
How we would slowly integrate AI into classrooms, as Kate was discussing, building the software up and having test trials in classrooms to collect data and see where there needs to be improvements. AI collaboration will also be important. The student practitioner transition model, which goes over the 6 stages in a student's life, will impact the integration of AI drastically. With the result that there will be a smoother transition if the teachers know how to implement it. The pace and depth of the adoption will depend not only on the growth of the AI's technology, but also opening and sharing data and the acceptance of the technology in the schools. Blunting and slow integration of the strengths of the existing and new technology will provide superior capabilities to our classrooms in the future and redesigning of a new system of education.
So naturally, people would find certain setbacks to this, certain limitations. And one of them is funding may fluctuate over time, delaying the process of slow integration. But according to James Guthrie and Arthur Pang, educators of public policy at Vanderbilt University, the budget is a pretty solid set thing. They have pre-select budgets from the year prior to carry on to this year. The only way that there is a deficit is if there's corruption or money mismanagement.
Another setback is AI has issues with the literature used in the robots in the classroom and the emulation of human ethics in the robots. An advancement would be that allowing the robotic program developers more time to perfect the software will pay off in the long run, according to the Journal of Research and Innovative Teaching, breaking away from the traditional methods of learning.
Furthermore, when you really think about it, these are just children. They are very malleable when it comes to how they develop, and the smallest kind of error and discrepancy during testing could alter them and even endanger them. It could even endanger them mentally and educationally. However, there are precautions to avoid dangers like this. There are precautions that you need to take when executing psychological tests like this, especially on children. These involve things like informing the parties involved of exactly what's going to happen to them, and informing them of a full disclosure agreement. In this case, it would be informing the teachers of these students, the parents of these students, over what exactly their kids are going through, and giving them the option to back out if they so please.
An alternative solution is individualized separate devices. Each child would get specific help where they struggled. The teachers would benefit by this by getting data back almost instantly after the student completed the course. Intrinsic motivation would initially be increased due to the individualized separate devices. On the opposing side, without proper observation, students may slack off and not put their best effort forth. It could possibly cause an educational regression.
Another alternative solution is to have a library of checkout devices to take home, like you do in colleges. This will close this digital divide, a term coined by Goolsbee and Guran, professors of economics at the University of Chicago. And this is where the poor students are at more of a disadvantage than the richer neighborhoods because of the difference in budgets.
Overall, due to the ever-increasing prevalence of technology in today's society, we believe that slow integration of AI into the classroom would be beneficial for all students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sydney, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
The colleague that had the greatest impact on my overall understanding of the problem we researched was Zach. During the beginning of the presentation, he illustrated the context of our problem very well, showing the illiterate deficiency problem within our country and the growing rates that need to be stopped in our educational system.
Thank you. Kate, describe how the content of the team presentation was changed as a result of group discussion.
All right, so originally we actually had about 15 solutions that we believed would work. So group discussion for us was an incredibly humbling experience. We had to really narrow our stuff down to what's the most realistic, what makes the most sense, and what could we do in the more now, a little less so far in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Zach, what is an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to exclude from your team presentation, and why?
Thank you for posing the question. One of the arguments that was in Kendra's individual research report is one about using an Alexa-type device within the classroom. You see, in that research, it stated a statistic about Alexa-type devices being prevalent in most homes, and we thought that this would be a good idea to include these kinds of devices within the classroom in order to further integrate them into the students' lives. However, we felt that it just didn't have enough oomph to it as a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Kendra, how did the group decide to include Kate's perspective lens into the overall presentation?
So Kate presented the side of not having enough information to really know the impacts on children. And we really took that to heart because at first I was very gung-ho, according to my lens, it was the solution, it was a top priority. But then after we heard her information, that's when we were so we should do it slowly. Because moving at that quick pace, you don't know the outcomes for these children, making it unsafe neurologically for them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.